Today I'm going to talk about basic cel shading. Now I'm not going to get into the technical aspects of setting up a file or what color profile to use or any of that stuff. This is more about the theories behind cel shading and tips and tricks you can use to give yourself a roadmap when you're working on a project. So let's get started. Now the idea behind cel shading is to give the illusion of depth and dimensionality using one shade or multiple shades depending on how complex you want to get. But we'll just start with one for this demonstration. Now we have something that could be a cylinder, although we're not sure because we have no actual visual cues to let us know that this is a dimensional object. For all we know, it could be a badly drawn oval and just some lines here. So for now, we'll pretend it is a cylinder, and to give it more depth, we are going to add some shade to it. So this is the top view of our cylinder. And let's pretend we have a light coming in from the right. Now, every part of this object that gets hit with the light will be shown in white because I don't feel like adding a color. Any part that the light doesn't hit, so anything this way forward is going to be white. Anything that the light doesn't hit this way back is going to appear in gray. Okay, so this is about halfway in between. So for our cel cut, our first cel shade, we're going to drop this in the middle here and bring it all the way out to the edge. Okay, now we can sort of tell that this is meant to be a cylinder. It's not perfect. If we want to get a little bit more creative, we can add in a ground shadow. Actually, it should be a little bit longer. There we go. So now it looks like it's actually standing on a plane of some kind. Okay, so that's our first shadow. Let's see what happens. Whoops. Let's see what happens when we change the direction of the light. Ba-ba-bum. Okay, now it's coming more from an angled direction, so we need to get rid of some of this shadow. There you go. Not terribly impressive. If we want to give the illusion that this is a metallic cylinder, we can give a back highlight like this. So now it kind of has a reflection from the environment in the backside. One more variation. Let's say the light is pointing from the back, so it's more backlit. The shadow might look something like this. And then if we wanted to add a ground shadow, gotta make sure it's going in the same direction. Bam. Okay, so those are the basics, but demonstrating on a cylinder is kind of boring. So I have prepared for you some line art. All right, let's bring this up to full opacity. Okay. Now, doing cel shading on an object like a cube or a cylinder or a cone or even a sphere is pretty easy. When it comes to a more complex object like a face, it can be pretty tricky if you just jump right in and without thinking. So sometimes, every once in a while when I'm feeling adventurous, I'll lay in guidelines. Now, a complex object like a face or a monster can be broken down into its components. Like every object in nature or in our world is basically made up of cylinders, cubes, spheres, cones, pyramids, that kind of stuff. So if you break down a complex shape like a face down into its component parts of planes and spheres, you can give yourself kind of a roadmap for when it comes time to cel shade. And I will demonstrate that now. Actually, let me turn down the opacity on the line art just a touch. And then let's turn on the planes a little bit stronger so you can see what's going on here. Now, I don't always do this when I do cel shading. A lot of it is guesswork. But whenever I do cel shading, I try to keep in mind the planes of whatever object I am, the planes and the surfaces of whatever object I am coloring. So we've got that shape going on. This is essentially a cylinder here. This is a rounded thing here. We've got that. It's kind of a complex shape here. This area here is more like a spherical shape that ends in a flatter plane-like thing. This is sort of a bent tube. There we go. Okay, it's kind of confusing to see with the line art, so let me turn off the line art. Now, it's not a perfect representation of what we've got, but you can see this gives us a little guide here. You know, we can see that this is a spherical shape here. This is sort of a mushy cube. We've got a little conical nose thing going on here. You know, this is a cylinder and this is a round thing here. So if I wanted to, I could just start and do some cel shading on these shapes. And I'll do that right now. And we'll pretend that the light is coming from above. So let me turn on multiply. Okay. So okay, so that's just basic stuff. Now, even though it's not perfect, you can still see where the planes and the basic shapes are. So you can still see that this is the side of the face, that's that mushy cube thing. The nose is still this conical shape here. And so if I want to refine it, I can kind of go in here. Monster is great because it has all these cute little folds and stuff. So we can jump into there, dig out some of these guys, and get more detailed, like that, like that. Now sometimes you'll put in a shadow that doesn't actually exist in nature. Like these guys up here probably aren't as strong as I've drawn them in there. Sometimes you put things in there to make them look cool. Some roundness to the eyes. There you go. Folds are always fun. Okay, so there you have it. You break down your object into its basic parts, its most base parts like cubes, spheres, cones, or whatever, and then you can map out those planes if you want to. You can skip this step. But mapping out the planes kind of gives you a roadmap to where you can lay in your shadows. And then you can do a big rough pass like I did, and then go back in and refine it. Now there are a lot of powerful things you can do with just one shade. You can change the mood of a piece by changing the direction of the light, where the light is coming from. You can change the mood of the piece by the color that you use to shade your overall composition. And I think we'll get into that the next time if I figure out how to upload this correctly and stuff. But for now, oh, and I should fill in this bit back here. But for now, I think this is a good primer, a good starter for basic cel shading. It gives you some basic ideas on how to at least get started, and you can go pretty far with the ideas that I've presented here. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this will get better the more of them I do, and thanks for watching.